To the Week 5 EKU football press conference. We're here with head football coach Walt Wells, Darrian Baker, and then Dequan Stanley join us as student athletes today. We'll start first with coach's opening statement on last week and this upcoming matchup against Robert Morris, and then we'll jump into questions. As always, you can either type your questions in the chat or just use the raised hand function, and I'll make sure that we get to your questions. With that, Coach Wells, take it away.
All right, guys. Appreciate y'all being here. Looking forward to this week, but would first like to say thank you to all our fans and students and workers and everybody involved in Saturday night because of the rain delay. I know Brian and I got to spend a little time together in the friendly confines of Roy Kidd Stadium in some kind of electrical room, but at least it had air conditioner. But the people did a great job. And then, to come back out and see that crowd that was there for us was really, really special for our kids. I mean, when I gathered them up, I told them it was going to be friends and family only. Wouldn't be many people out there. And to our surprise, there was a lot more. And I think it gave our team energy. So very proud of our football team and our coaches for the performance against Morehead State, and now looking forward to bringing Robert Morris in here, another quality opponent, and 2:00 kick this week, which is different for us at this time of year. So excited about that, and looking forward to having a great crowd. And like I've said in my post-game press conference, there's no other game in town this week, so let's make sure that we get everybody out and pack the kid. I know it's going to be, hit and miss with the rain and all that, but that's why they make umbrellas. So let's have a good time, and with that, I'll open it up for any questions.
I know during your post-game presser you talked about how your staff handled the situation of being in the locker room, you getting the guys something to kind of snack on, keep their energy up. Were you guys prepared for that, or was that something? Because when I looked at the radar, there was no threat of it. So were you guys prepared for that just in case something like that did happen?
We actually were prepared. We kind of go through that at the beginning of the year as a staff, with Tim, our trainer, and Billy, our strength and conditioning coach, and Brez and Griff, our DFO and our chief of staff. We kind of talk about those things, how we're going to handle those things, have things on site ready to go. And if we get to the end of the year and we don't need them, we'll just eat them. And we'll hand them out to them somehow. But it wasn't anything major. It was, Gatorade, Rice Krispie treats if they wanted them, and they had some Slim Jims or something like that. And just things that would keep them going. If they wanted that. Some guys don't want that, and so that's fine. And then just had them take their pads off because it hadn't rained, so they just had sweat on, and they could dry out a little bit, get comfortable, because we kind of knew from the radar that 7:30 to 8 was the target time that we might be able to get back out and finish this thing out. So, kudos to those people for keeping us informed of what we need to do.
Something like that happen, is it, hard to keep your game script or your game plan in place, or were you able to kind of do that still?
Well, the good thing is with the updated technology that they allow you to use, it gave us an opportunity to look at what had been going on. And it was 3rd and 1 when we left, and we came back out and got 4 or 5 yards on the first run, and had a good plan there, and then marched on down and scored and went ahead 7-3, and then got the pick and went ahead 14-3. And so, we were so, I think it was 4 total series, both 2 offense, 2 defense into the game. So it wasn't really like we had gotten so much information that we needed to change anything we were doing.
For me, when you look at the way Matt played last 2 weeks, kind of looking at the way he's played, the offense, got the running game going this past week. Talk about, with the way he's played, it seems like he's really settled into that quarterback position for you now.
No, he has. He's done a great job for us, and Matt's ability to get the ball where it needs to go is something. That's the reason we went with him, and you can see that now he's getting comfortable with our receivers that are practicing more and more and more, and they're just getting more in tune with each other. And I think in the past we've shown Andy Richmond and our offensive staff have done a great job of getting the football both in the run game and in the pass game to the playmakers. And Matt understood that, so now he's understanding who the playmakers are and who he can trust, and that's part of the process.
On the coming out of the lightning delay, you struck quick, and that had to be nice with the 2 touchdowns, the pick, but also the kickoff return that was called back. That was I thought that might have been the icing on the whole cake for that first half.
Well, it would have been, it'd been awesome to get that, and our kids were straining hard. We had a young man that is a true freshman that made a mistake. It was just one of those mistakes that he got caught up in the moment, probably more than anything, and felt like he should have done something, and he did, and he got it called back, and so I hate that for our returner and our return unit, and it wasn't maliciously done. It was a mistake that he's learned from and won't make again. But those are hard to get, and that's the one thing that you got to understand. So now he's got to go out and make sure he makes up for it. But yeah, that would have been a 3-score lead right there, and it could have just, we left probably 10 or 17 points out on the field, between a missed field goal, that getting returned, and I think our offense could have had, one more score if they would have, done the things they should have done. So, I think that's a positive thing in a way to get a 3-score win anyway. And or maybe more than that, I can't remember the score, but to get at least 3-score win and still have a feeling that you left things out there, that gives our kids, I hope, something to obtain this week in practice and get ready for Robert Wells.
All right, Keith Farmer.
Walt, you're third of the way through the schedule, I guess. Every coach at the beginning of the year kind of feels like, this is what we could be. Do you see that trending towards the way that you thought this team might be at this point?
Yeah, you know what? It's obviously you want to win them all. I mean, there's no question about that. I think everybody wants to do that. But I think when you realistically look at things, I think we are trending exactly where we need to. Now, the one negative that we've had is some injuries, and you don't ever think of. I mean, you think about those, and you got your plan in place for those, but you're really not hoping those ever. You're really hoping you fail in that prediction, but unfortunately, especially on our defensive side of the ball, we've had some season-ending injuries and to starters. And so, but that's a credit to our defensive coaches, our defensive players, and recruiting guys that can come in and play and getting them ready to play. So, yeah, I like where we're at right now. We've got to take it each week at a time, and the open week's coming after this one, so I think that'll put in a good time too.
And then I don't want to get off here without asking you about Robert Morris. So,
No, good football team. Now, here's the one thing. And I told our football team this yesterday. Robert Morris is a really old team. I mean, and I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean, they've got graduates and redshirt seniors, and I think one redshirt junior on. I think it was on defense or offense. I can't remember. I think it was on offense that they're like that. And then on the other side, they're very much the same way, but they got 2 young guys thrown in there to make them feel a little younger. And so they're a football team that's played a lot of football. You can tell on tape they're well coached, that they're where they're supposed to be, how they're supposed to be. And, we have a tough task coming in here this weekend. So we have to be ready to be a first 2:00 game for us, since I guess, 5:00 with Mississippi State. So it'll be our first early game, and we've got to handle that well, and we've got to handle all that well. But they're a good football team. Quarterback's a senior, so he's played a lot of football, and you can just see that they understand what they're doing and who they are and who they're trying to be.
All right, Michael Epps.
Hey, Walt, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good. I know that in-state win must have felt good, so congrats on that. And
It's always good to get a win.
yeah, and you guys obviously want those FBS wins, so it's frustrating to not get those. But for you guys to look this good, to start your FCS portion, does that kind of give your guys a renewed juice? You know, it's like, okay, you know, you guys obviously wanted one of those, but now in the part of the schedule that matters, you guys are rolling. Did you sense your guys kind of really find that in this last couple weeks?
Yeah, I think our football team, you know, we're a mature team too. We have some guys that have been around here for a while, and I think they understand, you know, starting off with 2 FBS schools, they know the disadvantages, you know, of the programs, different things like that, and that's no excuse. That's, you know, we talk about winning. That's all we talk about, and you know, so I think the mental part of that is what everybody forgets about. You know, the physical toll. Is it that big a difference? I mean, we walk out there, I think, you know, every scout that's come in here said we look like a G5 team, you know, and I don't say that to pat myself on the back. I say that, you know, that's just what it feels like. But the mental part of it, when you lose 2 games like that, you've got to have a maturity to bounce back. And, you know, we bounced back 2 weeks ago, I guess, against West Georgia, who I think is a very talented football team. And then Moorhead last week, and we got Robert Morris coming in this week, and hopefully, you know, we'll continue the trend of what we're doing. It's going to be a tough task, and they're a good football team, but you know, getting into FCS play, it's been good to see these guys celebrate wins. I mean, celebrate playing in these games and playing with an intensity that they have.
Is there a trick to that at all? I mean, or I guess, have you had any teams that haven't been able to bounce back after that, I think you're saying
I think you noticed it a little bit last year. I mean, I think maturity helps and going through it helps. I mean, we played Cincinnati and you know, well documented that we didn't play well. Then we played Kentucky and well documented again that we played well. And then we had Western Carolina, who was a top, you know, team in FCS come in here at that time. And we played them, we missed a field goal to put it in overtime. And, you know, and dropped a touchdown or had a touchdown that we should have called to win the game. And so you start off 0-3, and now you're on a climb the whole time. And I think our guys learned from that mistake last year. And, you know, guys like Darrian and Dequan who are here, that, you know, and then others, obviously, those 2 guys are just on this call. And, you know, they're leaders. They understand, like, hey, you know, you can't let one slip, because when you let one slip, you know, you never know what's going to happen down the road. So you got to take advantage of the opportunities that you have. And they really approach practice well. And I'm hoping that's what happens today when we get our opportunity to get out there if the lightning stops.
What adjustments did you make? Moorhead was moving the ball a little bit in the first half, and for a hot second made it a game. What adjustments do you make, and what adjustments do you make to your dance routine following a win like that?
The adjustments, you know, were on. You know, I think we just settled down offensively and defensively and started playing and making plays. And you know, we made some minor adjustments in our scheme, but really found out what they were going to. And you know, you usually do that in the beginning of the game. You're really feeling each other out. And then once you figure each other out, boom, now you try to do what all you worked on in practice that week. And I think that's what happened. They were hitting us with a little lead ISO type play there, and we weren't spilling it the right way. So we had to get it spilled the right way, stop that down. And once we got that going, you know, our defensive line did a nice job, and our secondary did a nice job. And then offensively, we got really saw the coverage of a little different coverage than what they had built. So we took advantage of some holes. But the dance moves are, you know what? I didn't realize that was going to be that popular. I wouldn't have let them put it out there, because I mean, I got hit up from, you know, I went to a pretty tough high school. I got hit up from some guys back home, and you know, they were saying I looked old. And that kind of, you know, that kind of pissed me off a little bit. But you know, I used to have some good moves, and you know, I just I guess I learned them all from Darrian.
Michael.
Well, is there any chance we see you on Dancing with the Stars here in the next few years?
No chance whatsoever.
I wanted to ask you about the defensive injuries, Coach. I know, you know, there was a couple of big ones last week. So when you have those type of injuries and you get guys stepping up and still making plays for you, it's got to feel good about the depth of your team. And you talked about, I think Gabe being a guy that you've been able to kind of plug in a few different places. Talk about the way he played on Saturday as well.
Yeah, I thought Gabe affected the game a lot. Probably had one of his better games. Gabe Stevens, that is, as a colonel, and came off the edge and did some really nice stuff. I mean, I think that's a credit to our whole D line. Top to bottom, this is in my opinion, the deepest and best D line we've had since I've been here. And then a lot of those guys have been here all those years, and they should be playing the way they're playing. Darrian's on this call, and he played well. He made a huge stop in the red zone there, and we got Gabe Fletcher making some plays. Obviously, Jeremiah Bailey's making plays. Jackson's making plays. We got Marvion Field back, who missed the first 2 games, I think it was. And he's moved from 3 tech to nose guard now, and he's helping out in there. So I like the depth we have at the defensive line. We had great depth at inside linebacker, but we lost our 2 starters to knee injuries, and now we kind of thinned that out for us. But we've got some young guys that have got to continue to grow in a backup role. Caden Smith from Taylor County and Brody Wells from Corbin, and they've got to step up and become players for us, because they've got to give the 2 starters, Sullivan and Maddox, Marcellus, a break. And so and then in the secondary, I don't know how long Sam Robertson's going to be out. He was playing extremely high level, and Jaheim came in and brings a little different element, and it was a good element. And so but then behind him is them 2 is Moses Suara and Jeff Kinley. And so they gotta, step up and provide the depth that we need and get the reps that we need, so that, if they need a break, they give one. So it's I like where our defense is at. We've got improvements to make. We can be better, and I talked to them about being a suffocating defense, and I think that's something that we have to learn and put in our DNA, is like a python. I mean, when you walk out, I told them yesterday, I said, guys, I can remember sitting in offices as an offensive line coach, and there's certain teams that you're just trying to fight for inches, not yards, inches. And it's frustrating as a coach to sit in there for 3 and 4 hours and try to figure out how to get, a yard. And we need to become that. And it's not going to happen overnight. It's going to happen through the season, but that's got to be our goal, is to be a suffocating defense. And hopefully that's, where we'll continue to go, and the injuries will stay away from us now. I mean, I think the football guys have taken all the guys they need to take, in my opinion.
All right, last one for me. So I wanted to ask you about your schedule. You go with 2 FBS games, then you have a conference game at home, then you go Morehead State. Now Robert Morris comes in, then you go back into conference play. So when you look at that, do you like the way your schedule was laid out? Jumping into conference play for a game, then going back on the road for more conference games, and how do you prepare for that?
Well, I don't, I mean, West Georgia was a new team, so it's like we had 3 new teams we hadn't played, right in a row. Really 5 new teams we haven't ever played in my tenure here in a row. So you just get the film and you try to figure out what you got to do to make it better. It doesn't bother me, no. The only thing I didn't like is when they rescheduled everything. When Stephen F. Austin dropped out, we got 2 really long back-to-back trips. And so our that's be the last time I ever say that, but our players have to handle that, and our staff has to handle that the right way. And we will. But it's just, that's the only thing I didn't like about it. But you play who they put in front of you, and you go get them. And that, like I told them before, we try not to fear any man or program at EKU football. And I mean that wholeheartedly. I mean, when we go play, Mississippi State, you go in there with no fear, see what happens. You go play Western, same thing. You go play West Georgia, same thing. I mean, they're all the same to us. They're nameless, faceless opponents, and we've got to go out and play to our standard and what we're trying.
All right. With no more questions for Coach. Coach, thank you as always for your time. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, guys, for being here. Appreciate y'all.
All right, and we'll move into questions for Darrian Baker. Watkins, if you want to lead us off, and then we'll go from there.
Coach, about the injuries that you guys have kind of seen go through the defense. As a leader on this team, what's it been like for you trying to help these guys that are filling in those spots kind of get ready for those moments and playing in front of a big crowd in front at RKS?
You really just gotta just play like you're playing with the guys that were there before. You just gotta have the same confidence in them as you had in the guys before, and just as a D lineman, I gotta have clear gaps, and we have old guys up there, so we gotta clear out the gaps for them so they have clear reads and they can just come down and just play a regular game.
Talk about some of the guys that are with you still. You got guys like Ryan, Mike Smith. You guys are leaders on the team. What have your guys' conversations been like during this 2-0 start?
We're just basically trying to raise the standard, be a suffocating defense. I mean, when Moorhead scored 3 points, we were all on the sideline mad. Like, yeah, it came from a fumble, but we can't let them score. And that's basically the mindset we're going into every single game with. We're trying to just zeros on the scoreboard.
You probably heard me talking to Coach just about what his expectations on the year. I'm sure you had some. What are your thoughts? Where the team stands right now, 4 games in?
I feel like offense and defense are starting to click. I know it takes a few games because we play the FBS opponents, and then it looks kind of bad sometimes. How it goes in the first games usually, and then we're starting to get on the road, and I feel like we're about to hit our stride. And offense is about to start scoring touchdowns every drive they get, and we're about to be getting stops every drive we get.
And then I was just curious. I know you're a senior. I don't know if you got another year left or not, but I don't know if we'll get you later on in the year. But just can you talk about the decision to go to EKU and what it's meant to you and everything?
My decision to go to EKU wasn't really that hard of a decision straight out of high school because I only had Navy and EKU. So, and I'm only an hour away. I live in Harrodsburg, for those of you who don't know. So it wasn't hard. CMO came in the dying days trying to get me, and I didn't go there. And thankfully, I've never lost to them, or I would have been kind of regretting it, but not regretting it really. But it means a lot to me to stay so close to home. Like usually when I play, I'll have like 13 people in the crowd at home games because they only got to drive an hour. So it just means a lot to stay in the program and be able to be a leader on this team now.
How difficult was it going into the lightning delay? It was kind of, back and forth. Nothing really happened that much. You have a fumble, you get a quick drive, and then coming out of the lightning delay, you guys take off. What was that like to kind of take control of the game just in the first 10 minutes or so after that lightning delay?
When we went into the locker room, I think it honestly it gave us confidence because like we saw what we had to do. We see the opponent. We went in, we game planned them, figured out what we need to stop. And as soon as you do that and you have a confidence in your whole team, you can go out and really just do it because there's no more like gray area. You're not filling it out anymore. We went out there, got the feeling for a few plays. It was like practice, honestly. Like we did a little period, got a break, went back out and practiced. That's what it felt like to me. So it gave us more confidence.
Hey, Darrian, similar question to if you heard me ask Walt, but you guys have the 2 FBS games that you guys really wanted to win,
Yeah.
but for you guys to regroup and then really dominate here in the FCS portion so far, how do you guys kind of go about that as far as regrouping after those first 2 and being like, all right, these are the games that kind of matter. Obviously, they all matter, but these are like, okay, now this is where we take care of business, and so far you guys are doing that.
Like Coach Wells said, we never want to lose, and he always. After games, the first team meeting we have, he's going to go over film, what we could have done better. And I feel like that's a good thing to do because even if we do win, there's still things that need to get corrected and there's still things that need to be better. Even in our dominating performances, or whatever you want to say, we still got to correct what we got to correct so we can be great.
What did this group that you guys have this year, what did you guys do a good job of after that week 2, getting ready for West Georgia? Like, okay, let's regroup. Let's go get this first dub. Then they're going to start rolling. Did you sense like an extra confidence in your locker room?
I wouldn't say I sensed an extra confidence. I think we have the same amount of confidence whoever we're playing, but I say we're good at flushing away the past and just moving on to the next opponent, just a week by week, trying to go 1-0 every week.
All right. Any more questions for Darrian? Without seeing anything, Darrian, thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate you. And we'll move on to Dequan Stanley now. Michael, if you want to lead us off.
That has really been talked about through the first month or so of the season is the wide receiver room, and there's obviously talent there, but you guys just haven't been able to be on the field a bunch with Matt. But over the last 2 weeks, that offense has really kind of taken off. So talk about you being out there, these other guys, and getting a rhythm with your quarterback.
Okay. So first off, we obviously got to address like the first two games. We scored, under 7 points, 7 points, and it's like it was upsetting because like as our receiver room, we already known as least experienced and stuff like that. So we basically out those 2 weeks, we basically took it with a chip on our shoulder. And we was like, okay, our people already think we already like, probably the worst group. We inexperienced and stuff like that. So it's like during those last 2 weeks, like West Georgia and this week, last week with Moorhead, it was like, okay, we need to make a statement. We need to show people that, we can play too, like, even though we are inexperienced, but we still have like, like you said, we have talent. And like during the whole, last two, the focus on, if the focus was, okay, we got playmakers. Let's find a way to make these playmakers make plays. And like that was like a big thing we focused on, like just getting the balls to playmakers and just seeing what they can do.
Keith,
Was your second touchdown the same as the first? Same play, only flipped?
Correct. Yeah, it was just the coverage there, and it was just like we knew the safety was just gonna like play that side. So it's like you can just easily find that window, and Matt did a great job of just finding the window and just placing the ball where it's supposed to be.
all right, Keith.
Yeah, I'm just curious, like getting into the end zone a couple of times, what can that do for you moving forward? And I mean, I would have to think it makes you itch to get back in there.
Yeah, getting into it. So that was my first time scoring at EKU. And like the first one, I'm like, okay, this is great. I need to get in there again. And then like, cause I like to dance. I'm from Florida. We dance a lot. And I'm like, okay, cool, boom. And then I got the second touchdown. I'm like, okay, I got another touchdown celebration. And then it's like when you get that high of just, scoring, it's like, okay, we can do this. We can compete. And like, it's like it basically gives the whole wide out room confidence. Like, okay, my boy Dequan just got in the box. I can get in the box. If he can get in the box, I can get in the box. So now it's just building the whole wide out room to wanting everybody to play harder. And you see as I got in the box the first time, you see more routes getting more crispier. You see players playing harder, faster, and it just brings that, that excitement and the joy. It's like, okay, I got a chance to get in the box. So it just make the wide out room just play better.
And then I saw your smile whenever Coach was talking about his dance.
Yeah.
What was that about? Tell me about it.
So after the game, when we win, we always just go in there and dance and just have a good time because obviously a win is a win, and you're gonna enjoy the win. That's why you got them. And like so, I'm in the circle dancing, and we got J.U. dancing, and then out of nowhere, we just see Coach Wells come in the little circle and just start dancing. It was great. It was great.
He didn't look old though, right?
Nah, he got a little hips to him.
All right, Michael Epps.
Hey, Dequan. Same deal. Kind of like, did you guys sense, confidence in your locker room, after the 0-2 start? Like, oh, we're good. We can bounce back. Go to FCS. Start really getting into the meat of the schedule, and so far, you guys are proving that.
Yeah. So with that, it's like, even though those first two games was like kind of bad, it still showed flashes that we can play, and we knew we can play. And it's like those unfortunate situations that happened during those games. We like practice and everything. Everybody practiced with a demeanor like we can play. We're not a bad team at all. And like we played with that chip that because we already felt bummed out that we lost to West Georgia. I mean, not West Georgia, Western, because that was a big focus for us. Like obviously Mississippi State, that was That was an upsetting game. But the Western game was really the game that we was just like we wanted to win. So we all had a chip on our shoulder, and it's like we know we can play. Like we can compete with the best of them if we just focus and lock in and just focus on what we got to do. And then like one thing Coach Wells forgot to mention to y'all, we have the thing where we talk about standard, and we just trying to raise our standard each time we go, and that's basically what then the focus is, raising the standard.
Yeah, did you guys kind of, without disrespecting the last two teams, like, but did you kind of sense something different on the field? You know, those FBS, especially an SEC game, it's like, man, like you're out
Yeah,
deal with those. That's like, playing basketball. Everyone's, foot taller or whatever. So
right.
for you guys to then was it kind of like, it feels like you're moving faster, you're hitting harder, they're not hitting as hard. Did you kind of feel that? Have you felt that since?
Yeah, yeah. I was about to say with that, like, no disrespect to like FCS or anything like that, because obviously I play here, but I play FBS as well, and it's like the pace and the game is way different. Like you got SEC, the game is a lot faster. You got D linemen that's running 4.3s. When you got FBS, when you got like let's say Western, you got guys that, they develop and they actually hone in their talents. And it's like, you can tell it's a big difference between FCS and SBS, but it's still like, there's a lot of FCS teams that can compete, but it definitely was a big difference with speed and everything.
Yeah, with that being said, now that you guys have shown this the last couple games, how much confidence does that give you guys moving forward? Like, okay, the rest of the year, you guys can do some special things.
I think we all feel it. I think we all feel like we can take this thing, we can go on this stretch. And that's been the main focus, just taking it one step at a time, just one game at a time. And we just gotta compete this Robert Morris game and keep going.
Question for me, you all were talking about Coach Wells and the dance moves. I just want to know, is you got experience dancing? I've never seen that move before. Is that called the stanky arm?
What Coach Wells did?
Yeah, like he had his arm up. Like, what kind of move is that, man?
I'd never seen that dance move in my life.
All right, well, that was like, 'cause I don't know what that was. Is it called? We'll call it the Wells.
The Wells.
Yeah, we'll call it that.
All right.
All right, thanks, bud. Hey, good game Saturday. Good luck this week.
Thank you.
All right, Dequan, thank you so much for your time. Thank you, media members, for attending our Week 5 football press conference here for EKU. Game notes will be coming out this afternoon. Appreciate your time.